Welcome back. We resume with the Women in Nuclear segment, where today we interact with a woman who's broken the barriers and selflessly continues to send the elevator back down. Sit back, enjoy. On Women in Nuclear, we speak with Professor Miriam Kinyua. She's based at the University of Eldoret, known for her work in plant breeding and biotechnology. Prof, first things first, thank you for making time for us, and thank you for welcoming us to Eldoret.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mudoka. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Eldoret and to discuss plant breeding and biotechnology and the application of nuclear techniques in that discipline.
Prof, let's face it, your field is considered rocket science by others.
Wow.
It's even others could shy away from it because someone would imagine it being difficult and all the complexities involved in it. But of all fields, Prof, what inspired you to work in this particular field?
Yeah, thank you. Maybe first of all, I would wish to take you back to while I was growing up. I loved mathematics very, very much, and investigative learning. I mean, not just the things that you're told, read this and add up and then write it. I liked those ones where you go, you investigate and come up with something that you have actually seen. So by the time I was going to secondary school, I was almost certain I wanted to do science. And of course, to go on with mathematics. When in secondary, my father would rather that I did medicine because he felt, this girl of mine can do medicine. And I really wanted to make him happy. But one day, when doing my lab work, and we were dissecting a frog, then the chloroform finished and the frog woke up. That was the end. That was the turning point for what I do today. And already specialized in science. So of course, I couldn't go back to arts. During our time, it's not like now 844, where you go on with both science and arts. For us, it was either science or arts. And science was the in thing. So of course, if you are tough, if you are good in class, you wanted to show that you can do science. So there I was supposed to do medicine, and therefore I'm taking maths, chemistry, and biology. And my frog woke up. I was too scared, and I was fearing that when I'm dissecting a person, they might also wake up. So I changed my mind from science. Now, because I had already set my scientific line, I couldn't go to art. The other option was agriculture. When we were growing up, we thought agriculture was not something that anybody who's brainy should undertake. But now I was boxed in, so I took agriculture, and I'm really happy that I did, because it's very fulfilling to see you contributing to people, to food, to what people must take. You know, the other things they don't have to take, but food they must take. So I feel very happy.
Professor, reaching your level, you are a professor now. You have experience in plant breeding and biotechnology spanning 26 years. I mean, that is not everyone's cup of tea. And again, what will be the highlights of your education and career path? What will be the one thing, narrowing it down to this particular question, what will be the one thing, Prof, you look back and say, you're really proud of this? This is my one big achievement that I'd like everyone out there to hear and know about.
Wow, thank you. Variety development. Being able to come up with a different variety. Not the one that has been being grown. This one is new, it's different. It can be certified that it is different. When the Ministry of Agriculture looks at it, they say, this is good. When the farmers look at it, they say, this is good. And I would say that I started with wheat. I have more than 10 wheat varieties out there. And every time that the farmers talk about that variety and I say, I'm the developer, they look at me and they're like, you're the one, you know. So that is very fulfilling. The cassava that we've just seen in the field, during selection, when we give the farmers the material to test, and you could see the happiness in their hearts. I mean, the way they expressed, to me, that was very fulfilling. So I'm looking forward to the cassava being released. I also have Dolichos varieties. Dolichos is black bean, jahe, to make it simpler. And I feel good that those varieties are out there. I also have potato varieties, Irish, waru, that is coming out. And all those, I have been able to use nuclear techniques to be able to develop some of those varieties. Of course, the wheat varieties, some of them are direct crosses, conventional methods. But one of them, the one that I would want the farmers to hear about, Eldo Mavuno. I mean, farmers are crazy about it. And that makes me feel fulfilled. You know, it's this one of, I can go in peace. It's very fulfilling that you get a variety out there and farmers like it and they keep asking for the seed. That is, to me, what is the highlight of my profession. I would also say developing young minds. When I was in Kaoro, it was just researching and using technicians to research with. But now, I get as a student who doesn't know what plant breeding is. I teach them plant breeding, and they come back and they go and apply it in where they are employed, and they come back and they tell me, Prof, I'm happy you taught me. You know, that is very fulfilling. Like when I take them through the lab and they're like, this just looks like a box, but then they come to realize that it is a PCR machine, or this one is, you know, and in the end they see why the DNA has been mapped, and they are able to tell it has the plant has got this kind of trait just using the machines, and then you see the fascination in their eyes. To me, that is a highlight in my life. So I'm happy that I'm able to do my own research and that I'm also able to develop young minds. When I meet them out there, I normally feel that every county there's a product of mine, and I really feel good. When I walk, I feel there's my product here of a youngster who's grown through my hands. Yes, yeah.
Prof, switching gears, your field is, if I can use the term, scarcely populated when we speak of women. I must be sure that perhaps you've been in a meeting where you are the only woman in an entire meeting consisting of male colleagues. I mean, it's quite alarming. I know within that circle, perhaps you're looking forward and you think this circle has to grow and actually it has to be represented more by women. But first things first, why is that the case? And do you think we can get to a place where it's 50-50?
Good question, and one that saddens. I mean, you feel that you wish you get the women and tell them, come in. It's no big issue. It's just a profession like any other. Don't look at yourself as a woman. Look at yourself as a scientist. That first of all is what I want to say to my fellow colleagues. That don't look at it and already classify it that it is non-woman. You should feel that it is womanly. But the other thing is the system. You know, like I would, Muthoka, that you see, I would imagine that society at first felt that leave women out of science, give them arts, you know, secretary, you know, that was the mindset then. I wish that society would also change their mind, that if two people come to look for a job, even if there is no affirmative action, you know, now sometimes they do it because of the 2/3 rule. They do it not because they feel that this one is a scientist. It's because we need a woman, let's just take her. I wish they would change their mind to make it that if someone is qualified, they shouldn't put gender as a deciding factor, because it's stereotype. I mean, it's that society is stereotyped, and I guess because we are growing in a patriarchal society, we tend to feel that the woman should do something else. That's how we tend to feel. I wouldn't want to say that they are wrong, but you see, the way modern life is now, women also have to get out there to look for sustenance. Some of them are by themselves, or they are single parents, or even if they are married, they still need to complement each other. Like, I mean, let's say in our family, if we would say, okay, let him just look for sustenance and then me, it's just to sit at home, it might not work because of the way the demand for life is. So I would say two things: that it is society, the stereotype should change so that they allow that if someone fits, they should just be taken. I feel very bad. In fact, there was one time I was in a meeting and someone said we were only 3 out of more than 100. And like you rightly saying, there are many times I go to the meeting and I'm alone. I mean, all the others are men. But in this particular meeting, we were just 3. And one of the lead persons asked, how come there are only 3 women? And you know what my fellow colleague answered? He said, these are the women whose husbands have allowed them to participate in such forum. And you know, that was very insulting. So you see, the stereotype, the mind, the way people are feeling, they've already formed in their minds that women should not be here. Then the women themselves, they've hated themselves. You will find that in a meeting, if they are deciding and there are 3 women and there are maybe 5 men, the 3 women will give the vote to a man if the position is being competed for, instead of them giving to their fellow woman, which I find that we have that problem. And I don't know how we can make our women feel confident enough, because you see, science doesn't know whether you're using a woman's mind or a man's mind. It is, do you understand? You see? So I feel that women should just change their perception, and the stereotype should change. That's how I feel.
For years now, you've been in a university setup, and you've seen the situation as it is, gender-wise, gender speaking. And of course, that also must worry your peers and perhaps think of ways to bridge this particular gap. What would be some of the diversity programs that particularly your school, your university has put in place to mentor future women leaders?
Good one also. What we do at the school, that if there are 2 people, I mean, that's what I was talking about, the affirmative action. If there are 2 people who are looking for a position and both of them qualify, we bias on the lady so that we can be able to lift the figures, you know. And sometimes I don't feel very good, but it happens that sometimes, so that they can balance the numbers, they'll say, okay, let's bring Prof in, Prof Miriam in. And I'm like, you're bringing me in so that you can balance your equation, which shouldn't be. it should be that we should encourage more women to be able to come into the field so that the numbers just fall into place naturally. And I think we're getting there, Bwana Mudhoka, because when you look at the secondary education now, even the ones who pass, you realize that we're almost getting 50-50. The university maybe is not yet so, but I'm sure we are getting there. Because now women have started loving themselves. They've started realizing that they can make it. And also society has started accepting that we can have women in science. When I'm choosing who is to attend a course, I don't think I've had a problem of having to bias such that I must make sure I choose a lady. It has been that the applications are 50-50 and I'm able to pick qualified ladies. I don't bias for them to be able to qualify. It's that their papers are speaking for them, which makes me feel happy. Because before, you would have to go down to lower the marks for the lady and lift the marks for the man so that you can be able to get some ladies in, which used to hurt. But right now, I don't have to do that oftenly. I mean, you find that they are at par, and I can be able now to say half ladies, half men, and it works out very well. So I would want to say that it's coming up. It has been a lonely place, but you can see girls are coming up now, and it's getting populated, and I look forward to it even getting more populated. What would I say would have been the reason for the low numbers? We seem to be more artistic. I mean, in nature, even those things that you need to be fine. I mean, those ones that have got detail, you tend to have ladies to do it, which is more artistic, while the scientific one is realities. I would want to tell the ladies that you just need to open yourself up. You don't close yourself in and judge yourself before you test yourself. Test yourself. Like, okay, for us, coincidentally it worked, but why would you want to wait for coincidences? Now we've proved it can be done. So get on and do it. That's what I want to say. Yes.
You spoke of developing young minds as one of those that will be your highlights across your career that, of course, spans over 26 years. I'd like to ask this question, Prof. You are like a mother to them, a mentor to them, but who is your role model?
I normally find that question difficult to answer. Why I find it difficult to answer is that I have different role models depending on what it is that I am looking for. When it is authority, I really admire Nelson Mandela. I mean, you know, this person who's so confident that even when he's confined, it's no big issue. He can still put his chest out and feel, you will count me in. And even his sayings, the quotes that we have about him, they are really very inspiring. You can see this man had authority from inside. It inspired him, and it makes me feel that that's a kind of a person I would want to follow. Of course, when it comes to the science of it, I really feel that, okay, I interacted with Norman Borlaug, who was the father of the Green Revolution, where now India was able to feed themselves, Africa was left out. And it makes me feel this is somebody who was convinced that he can make a change in the food situation. So that inspires me. But I'm sure you'll find this odd but most of all, I find Bible characters more of my role models, because you know, the hand and output, if you look at each one of them, they ended up having an output that you can see, and there must have been something that was inspiring them, and that's what makes me want to come out and follow it. I mean, if I look at Esther, who she's just an alien, and then gets married, and then stands out for her tribe, not tribe, I mean for her people, for her people, yeah, the Jews. I mean, you look at such and you feel and want to be like that girl who would feel I'm confident enough, I can stand up. When they are choosing, I will also present myself and I'll make it, you know. So when you look at that, I feel that Bible characters have really taught me a lot. For ladies, I have several. I mean, I look at maybe, let's say, if I look at somebody like the McKinney School Director, Miriam Kinyua. Mary comes and finds women are not wanted in the banking sector. She puts herself in and says, no, we must have women people working in finance. Then she also starts a school, and it turns out to be an outstanding school. In science, the science and ladies, I haven't thought about it. Maybe I should, when you ask me the next question, when I'm answering it, I should think of who is this science lady. Why I am finding it difficult to do that, Muthoka, is because I normally don't genderize science. I look at science as gender neutral. So even when I say, let's say I give men examples, it isn't because I'm only biased on men. It's just because what they did inspires me, and I see that even a lady can do just as well. Like when I would walk with Borlaug, Norman Borlaug in the field, and I see this is a man who, in fact, my director used to say, presidents stand for him. I'm like, even me, presidents can stand for me. So I can be able to be inspired. In other words, I don't look at myself as a lady. I look at myself as a scientist. Yes.
Up next is our Did You Know segment, where interestingly we tell you what you need to be more careful around between home appliances and a nuclear power plant. Did you know, while concern about exposure to radiation when near a nuclear power plant is valid, research shows that you'll get more radiation over your lifetime from being around some personal electronics than from being near that power plant? Well, now you know, and now maybe it is time for you to be more cautious of that electronic gadget near you than a nuclear power plant. With the verdict still out, we switch gears onto the My View segment, where we peruse an essay written by a young girl with a nuclear dream. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Aquinta Miroya. I am a pupil at Machakos Primary School in Machakos County and the first runners-up primary school level in the Nupeer Essay Contest. As I wrote my essay, I kept on reflecting on the rising demand for energy in the country, why nuclear electricity will be vital in bridging the gap between power supply and demand, the past nuclear disasters, and my role as a young girl with a valid dream in all this. My take is, through proper technology and regular review of nuclear safety measures, we can reap more benefits and at the same time avert tragedies as a country if we go for the nuclear electricity way. We will also bridge the energy gap, boost various sectors in the economy, and even gather resources to venture into exploration in a bid to keep pandemics such as COVID-19 at bay in future.
And finally, in our IAEA video of the day, we tell you what you need to know about radiation and take you step by step on how to measure radiation.
Radiation with enough energy to cause changes at the atomic level is called ionizing radiation. It can damage cells, so it's important to measure its potential health effects. But how? Units measuring ionizing radiation are commonly named after leading physicists in the field. The unit for radioactivity, for example, was initially named after Marie and Pierre Curie, pioneers of radiology. Scientists now use becquerel, Gray, and sievert as standard units to quantify radiation and estimate its impact on people. Let's take an example. Suppose Alex is standing close to a radiation source. The source emits radiation through decay or loss of energy of its unstable atoms. This radioactivity is measured in a unit called becquerel. Becquerel describes the number of atom decays over time. When Alex stands too close to a source of ionizing radiation, his body absorbs a dose of energy. This dose is measured in grays. Grays describe the energy Alex's body has absorbed, divided by his weight. But grays don't give a full picture of the effects of radiation. Some types do more damage than others. Certain body tissues are more or less sensitive to ionizing radiation. To calculate potential health effects, we use a unit called sievert. Sieverts take into account the type of radiation, the tissues exposed, and how much energy they could have absorbed. The bigger the sievert, the higher the potential health risk for Alex. Since 1 sievert is a large quantity, radiation doses are usually expressed in fractions of sieverts. A person's exposure due to all natural sources of radiation, for example, is on average around 2.4 millisieverts a year.
With that video, I trust that this episode has been worth your time. Thank you for being part of it, but we still have plenty in store for you in our next episodes, including interviews, fun facts and informative videos. I trust that you will enjoy, learn and even be part of the nuclear family. Remember, you can always keep the conversation going on our social media platforms, that is TV47 Kenya on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, as well as Nuclear Kenya on Twitter. This episode has been powered by the Nuclear Power and Energy Agency. Till next time.